Hey guys, welcome back. Today is a gloomy and sad day. It's raining the whole entire day today until tomorrow evening, I believe. But it's been going on and off, so right now it's not really raining, but in a moment's time it's definitely going to start raining. But today I want to do an update on my immersed grown plants because I haven't shown them in a while. Right here is my current rack of them. We'll take a closer look. But the garden is also doing quite well. Yesterday I was pulling out some weeds, so you can see this pile right here. There is still a bit of cleaning I need to do. I also want to do an update on the goldfish pond because that's looking really nice, and the rice fish are breeding in there, and the goldfish are getting bigger, and we're getting some nice flowers from the water lily. So that's good. We'll take a closer look at that in a moment. But first of all, let me talk to you about these are my turtles, but not the turtles, the aquatic. Well, let's take a look at the turtles. So in the past, I've got comments saying that this is like too small for my turtles, but these turtles were just tiny babies not even a year ago, and this is the grow out. I don't think I mentioned that before, but I'm not keeping them in here forever. This is a grow out for them, and I've only got two. You can see this guy, painted turtle, and where's the other one? Is this the one we just got? Oh, hiding. Got it. Alright, here's the other one. This one is slightly smaller, but you can see really beautiful patterns. I'm gonna put this guy down. Yeah, but it's just a grow out. And also, I was thinking of using this as their winter enclosure. So in the winter time, I would bring them inside to the fish room and keep them warm in there. But I don't think I need to do that. They've gotten quite big already, and I think they can handle the winter months outdoors as long as I give them enough depth. But I'm not sure. This year I might bring them inside because there's, yeah, I don't know yet. But in the future, as they start getting a little bit bigger, I want to build a bigger pond for them. Maybe here, or maybe give them this pond with the goldfish. But I still haven't decided. But just for anyone who thinks that this is too small for them, it's a grow out, and they will be moved into something bigger. But over here, alright, let's start with this. So this is, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of this plant. Hold on a second. Right, this is a Japanese iris, and it's a beautiful plant when it flowers. Right now it's not the flowering season, so you can just see it's living. And it'll survive through the winter, and every year it just comes back and gets, yeah, it just keeps on growing. And then in here, this is green Rotala, or Rotala Randia green. And this has been growing in here for about 4 years now, I think. It dies back in the winter, but then comes back in the warmer months. And this is just trimming that I took from my contest tank, and I just dumped it in here, and you can see how well it's doing. Then over here, this is like a little experiment. I was going to do a rice fish pond with this, but yeah, I just put some of this 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀. It's actually from this thing right here, we'll take a look at. But I put it in here, and then it looks like some bug is eating it. I think it's a grasshopper or a locust, because they're always eating my aquatic plants. You can see the leaves are bitten off, which is kind of annoying. And then I've got this plant that I'm experimenting with. I don't know the name of it, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's not doing too well. In the future, what I plan for this is I plan to put a little pot inside and have this 3-leaf plant grow out from the middle, and then around that little pot will be open space, and I'm thinking of putting rice fish in there. So a future mini rice fish pond this thing will be. But let's move on to this rack over here. This rack plus those two extras. So this is a rack that I set up. I think it's made of aluminum, and it's quite solid. It's going for about a year now, and there's no rust. It's perfectly fine outdoors, and it's quite solid. I'm planning to maybe build one more of these so that I can expand my Emersed Aquatic plant farm. But with Emersed Aquatic plants, I've realized that it's probably best for me to stick to plants that are kind of rare or not so common. I want to propagate those that are not so common, because the common plants you can get easily and very cheaply online or at stores. So I kind of want to grow plants that aren't really out there. So this one is probably one of my favorite stem plants ever. This is 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀, and you can see how tall it grows. So I'm gonna have to trim this. It also does carpet, like you can see this. This is the same plant except it's growing lower, and it's growing like a runner. So it can run, but it can also grow tall. So I'm gonna trim this, and I can propagate, I can replant it. But it is doing quite impressive. And in this corner here, I've put some 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀. I realized that I had a bunch of 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀 in the past, but they all died because I think I didn't water them enough, and that was like maybe 2-3 years ago. But then recently, one of my friends gave me some 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝘀, so I decided maybe I can start again. And I'm slowly trying to propagate it here, and once I get a good amount of it, I'll put it in its own little container. And then over here is another plant. This is Rotala Randia Green Mini, or Mini Green. It's I got this as a gift when I was in Singapore. One of my Singapore friends gave it to me. He said he got it in Hong Kong when he was on a trip to Hong Kong. And it's basically Rotala Randia Green, except it's a mini version. So not sure how that will look like in a tank. Probably just a smaller version of Rotala Randia Green, but we'll see. And we'll also have to give that its own container in the future. Right now I'm kind of mixing this one up because, you know, if you put Rotalas and Rotalas together, you're not gonna know the difference, because they look like this almost looks identical to this mini green here. So you don't want to mix Rotalas. So right here, because their leaves are so different, the super red, Rotala mini green, and 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝘀, because they all look so different, I'm able to put them in this one container. Over here, this one isn't doing too good. You can see like the right side hasn't been growing at all, but on the left side it's been doing quite okay. This is 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀 purple. I don't know, the name is quite long. But this is also doing quite well. Hopefully I can propagate it. Well, I can. I just gotta cut it and replant it. Maybe because this thing is shading quite a bit, it wants to grow out that way. I think that's the reason. Also with the plants on the bottom, they tend to grow towards where the sunlight hits it. So yeah, that's probably just my fault. Over here, this is Rotala Randia I'm not exactly sure what BSD stands for. If I find out, I'll probably put it on the screen. But this is a plant that my friend gave me. It looks like any other Rotala, if you tell me, but submerged, it probably looks a little bit different. And then I've got some 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but just growing right there. I do want to give it its own pot, but I'm not sure how it'll do during the winter, so I'm just gonna put it right here and yeah, cover it up during the winter and see how it does. Over here, oh my gosh, I did not plant any Rotalas in here. I did not notice this. I have no idea what Rotala this here is 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀. It's a really cool looking aquatic plant. But this here, I don't know if it's from this Rotala BSD. I don't think so, because you don't see any like crossover. It might be from here. This, because you can see here there's a lot of crossing over going on. So I think it's this Rotala that came over onto this side. So I'm gonna pull this out and probably throw this away, because I don't want to get confused with my Rotalas. I don't want to mix them up. But this Rotala here is Rotala Randia from Fujian. It's a place in China. But this is one of my favorite Rotalas, submerged, because the leaves are really cute, kind of roundish, and a really nice like orangish reddish color, or purplish. Yeah, it depends on the conditions. But you can see a 𝗯𝘂𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 growing in here as well. That's also one reason why I don't like to put Rotalas next to Rotalas, because they can cross over and they will mix. So that's why I've got 𝗯𝘂𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 here. So if anything mixed over, I would be able to like separate them quite quickly. So I can just pull this out and it's like nothing ever happened. So I've got to get that sorted out. But that is kind of the annoying things with these plants, is that they'll cross over. But that's really no problem. But you can see how well this is doing. Rotala rotundifolia from Fujian. Over here is a culture that kind of died back during the summer. I think because it was just too hot and it didn't like the heat, and also I didn't water it enough. But this is, it's kind of faded here, but Rotala rotundifolia reddish. So it's similar to HRA, except I think the leaves are slightly rounder than HRA. Right here is the immersed form. You can see the stem is pretty red. Compared to the other Rotalas, like you can see, these ones are quite green. So the red types of Rotalas, their stems, when grown immersed, will be quite red. And I've got Rotala HRA as well. I'll show you how that looks. But you can see it's starting to slowly grow back. A really beautiful Rotala, this one, grown submerged. Down below, this is Ludwigia crystal. It's a fairly new Ludwigia, and it's very, very similar to Ludwigia arcuata, the needle leaf Ludwigia. But I don't know. I really don't know what the difference is with Ludwigia arcuata, Ludwigia crystal, and Ludwigia 𝗶𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. Yeah, I don't know. Those three Ludwigias, to me, they look almost identical. This here is a Rotala called orange juice. Rotala orange juice. I think it's another rotundifolia species. Yeah, you can see. So they've got the round leaves, and again, about to start crossing over into the next one. I've got to keep these out of each other because this one is a Rotala as well. But this one turns a nice orange color submerged inside an aquarium, but I have yet to see that. I don't think I've kept it in the right conditions to get it to grow orange in my aquariums. Right here is another cool looking Rotala. This one is called Rotala SP flower, and this one has really cute leaves when grown submerged. It's kind of like a star shaped. You can see the leaves slightly different compared to rotundifolia orange juice. Well, maybe it looks the same, but I don't know. You can see like where there's lots of water, there's also submerged leaves. And then here, this is quite a cool plant. This is called Ludwigia inclinata pantanal. You can see how thick the stems get on this. And the leaf shapes also varies. You've got some that are really thin and long, and then you've got some that are kind of like broader. So I'm not sure why it does that. But it's a really cool plant, easy to grow immersed, but quite a challenging plant to grow inside an aquarium. You need lots of CO2 and high light to get it to grow beautifully. Guys, let me know if you're enjoying this video in the comments down below, and let me know if you've got any immersed plant farms and how you're growing them. How are they doing for you? Because I've had to struggle with these in the past. I've had times where I couldn't water them, or where I water them too little and then they start dying. But right now I think I found the perfect balance. I have to, during the summer months, I have to come out here every day, at least once a day, and give them a good water, because the water evaporates so fast, and if you miss a day, the day after, it gets kind of crispy and it's really dangerous. So you don't want to miss 2 days of watering during the hot summer months. But when it's raining like today, I don't have to water them because the water doesn't evaporate, and some water, you can see there is a kind of a roof up here, so it doesn't get like too much water, but a little bit of water can trickle in and keep these guys nice and hydrated. Right here is a cool plant. It looks like Monte Carlo, but this is Oh man, I can't remember the name. Micranthemum umbrosum. In Japanese, we call this the large pearl grass. And in English, I think you guys also call it pearl weed or pearl grass. Yeah, but it's a beautiful plant. And it's been doing so well. This overwintered for me last year. So I planted it last year, and I planted like really few of them. And then during the winter months, it almost completely died back, but it grew back this year. So really happy about that. Over here, this is, I don't know how to pronounce that, 𝗂𝘃𝗀𝘀𝘀𝘀. Yeah, but it's a beautiful plant. I've got 2 tags for this. So slowly have been propagating this. You can see I just trim and plant elsewhere where the open spaces are. Over here, this is a kind of sad one. I've been testing with this. This is Rotala bonsai, and it's been on and off for me. At one point of this year, it was doing quite well, but I don't know, it just seems kind of sensitive, this one, Rotala bonsai. And I tend to not do well with that submerged, so I just brought it outdoors, and yeah, just trying to grow it out here. This here is Rotala SP Vietnam, very, very similar to 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝘀, but this is the ADA. I bought this as an ADA tissue culture, Rotala Vietnam. And some people may confuse it with Vietnam HRA, but it's not. It's a very fine-leaved Vietnam. Very nice plant. Alright, so that is this rack. Over here I've got a few more, so we'll take a look up here first. This here, next to this cactus. So this cactus, in the past, some of you may have seen this. I've featured this once in another video before. But during the winter, this whole top part didn't exist. It was just this part. Then I brought it outdoors, gave it water. What's this tag? Okay. Yeah, brought it outdoors, and then this whole top part started growing, so I think I've got to propagate it, but I don't really know how. Do I like chop this part off? I think I gotta chop this part off and put it in some soil, but I'm not sure. Right here, oh wait, right here, this is dwarf hairgrass in a small little container. I don't know what I'm doing with this one, but let me pour this water out. Yeah, there used to be a cryptocorin in here, but it wasn't doing well, so yeah, 𝗃𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀𝘀. Oh yeah, I pulled it out and I put it in one of my aquariums. But this here is dwarf hairgrass. Right now it's a bit full of water, so I'll just pour some of it out. So dwarf hairgrass right there. And then this one here is 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝘀. Very nice carpeting plant. Quite similar to Monte Carlo, but I don't know. I like 𝗯𝘂𝘀. And there's some algae growing in here. You can see that. But that's really no problem. I don't mind the algae, because we're not trying to keep a beautiful looking aquarium here. We're trying to grow them immersed. And you might ask if we get mosquitoes in this. And sure, I guess mosquitoes will breed, but in the summer months, because it's so hot, it's always, the water level in this is always decreasing. It's always evaporating, and then I'm topping it back up. So I don't think mosquitoes really like grow in here. I don't see any larvae right now. Like this one is completely dry. You can see this one needs water. This one here has water, but I don't see any movement inside. Like you can see this one as well. There's basically nothing swimming in there. So really, I don't think there's a problem with mosquitoes. But for stuff like this, if you've got a deeper system, this one goes quite deep and it's filled with water, I think mosquitoes do reproduce in here. To avoid that, you can put stuff like guppies or rice fish. If you have winter, you can't put guppies because the guppies will die during the winter. But if you have rice fish, they'll overwinter and they'll eat all the mosquito larvae for you. So in the future, I'm thinking of doing rice fish pond for this, and also this one. I kind of want to make it a little, I want to design it a little bit more. Kind of put the iris on one side, have the rotalas maybe in a pot, and then have some space for rice fish to swim around. I think that'll be a better option. Alright, now over here, we've got some Lgia Ovalis, and this thing has been going with me for about 4 years now, I think. Maybe more. I think about 4 years, but it just... This is one of my favorites. It's not my favorite plant, but it's my favorite setups because I thought this thing died like at least 4 times. I thought this was a goner. Because during the summer months, there are times when I neglected this. I completely forgot I had this. This thing was sitting on our balcony upstairs, and there are just months where I didn't go to it, I didn't tend to it, I didn't water it, and when I went to look at it, it was completely dry, like crispy, there's nothing there, just soil, and I thought, okay, this thing's dead. But once it started raining, it just always came back. And I'm so happy with this. I'm so happy how it's doing. My friend comes here and he takes some cuttings of this and he puts it in his aquariums, and the plants do really well. So this is one of my favorite setups, and yeah, I've really been enjoying this Lgia. It's called Lgia Ovalis, and it's a beautiful orange plant. Right here is a new setup I just did in the ceramic pot. This is called Rotala rotundifolia yellow, or Rotala yellow. I'm not sure if there's a rotundifolia. I believe it's rotundifolia. Yeah, I'm not an expert with rotalas, but right here is a crypt that I'm just playing with. This one melted on me. I don't think the crypts really like being outdoors. This is a little setup. It's actually a 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀. It was doing really well until a few weeks ago when I left town and I couldn't water it. It just dried up, but now it's starting to grow back, so I'm not too worried about it. So it's basically a 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀 ball with an echinodoros, and then around it I just put some aqua soil. Oh yes, and for substrate, with this I just basically use recycled soil, just the cheapest soil I get at the home center, the garden center, and I've also been recently mixing it with aqua soil, used aqua soil, so that I just don't waste any of it. So that's basically the soil that I'm using. I am not fertilizing. I don't fertilize these guys, but I think I should, like if I want them to grow better. I'm just not sure what I should fertilize them with, so I haven't been doing any of that. And also, maybe if I use more nutrient-rich soil, they probably grow better. But I'm not too worried about it at this point of time, because you can see they are all doing quite alright. I've still got a few more over here. This, I believe this may be the long hairgrass. So not the dwarf hairgrass, but just the regular hairgrass. Yeah, this has been doing amazing. I could propagate it and sell it, which I probably do want to do in the future. But the problem with selling stuff like this is that it's so cheap and you barely make a profit from it, so you'd have to sell a lot of it, and I just don't think I'm interested in selling like a lot of cheap plants just to make a small profit, so I'd rather just give it away. Over here, this is a nice one. This one has also been like it dies back and then it comes back. This is Polygonium pink, and right now it's flowering. And then this here is Lgia Reppens green, I think. Is it Reppens green? Yeah, it's one of the green types, but beautiful plant. They're both growing together. Over here, this is called Rotala Assam. I believe it's from India. It's a place in India, Assam. And it's one of my favorites Rotalas when you grow it submerged, because the leaves are quite broad and they kind of twist a little bit, and they're quite nice to look at. Over here, this is Rotala HRA, the one I was talking about earlier. This grows super red inside an aquarium, and you can see when it's immersed, the stems are red. And it also wait, okay, this is not the Rotala flowers. But yeah, Rotala do flower, and the flowers kind of look like this. They're kind of like pinkish. But this is from this flower just dropping down. Yeah, but that is basically it for my... Oh no, I still have two more over here next to the turtle pond. This is the same thing as the one we looked at over there. This is Lgia SP crystal. So I just put that in here. I've got two of these because I really like that. And then here, this is Lgia senegalensis. A really nice looking Lgia. Right now, it probably doesn't look like much, but submerged inside an aquarium, it's got really nice patterns to it. And let's take a quick look at my goldfish pond. Probably should bring some food out so you can get a good look at them. But you can see, oh, there's a nice goldfish. I do want to put names on them. I've got 3 goldfish in here right now. One is red, one is white, and one is white with a red spot on its head. But the rice fish have also been reproducing in here. So the plants in here, we've got a water lily that flowers yellow flowers. We've got some 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝘀, 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀𝗀, I believe. And this thing has been growing like crazy. Yesterday, this pond was full of 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀𝘀, but I've just been throwing it out because it's spreading like crazy. This whole thing was covered. You couldn't see inside the pond. So you can see like all this. This is all 𝗯𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀𝘀 that I just threw outside because it's too much. It's too much. We've got to clear it out every once in a while. Oh, you can see this. These are the guys that eat the leaves of my plants and my Rotalas and Ludwigias. Dang, are they breeding? It's crazy. This big plant right here, I believe it's called Sagittaria trifolia, and you can see very pretty, very beautiful plant, and also starting to flower. This is amazing. It dies back during the winter, but it'll grow back again once it gets warmer. So those are the current 3 plants I've got in here. There's the white goldfish. It's white with a red bottom. And then there's the one with the red spot. So there's all 3 of them. We got to see them. Incredible. And they're all comets. I really like comets for outdoor ponds because I just feel that they're really hardy and they'll just be the easiest to care for. This is my mosquito repellent. But yeah, let me know if you've ever seen this thing before. It's very common in Japan. Most people use this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how your immersed plant setups are. I'll see you guys next time.